All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to. Well, give me 1 second. Sorry. All right. Yes, that results from feedback. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Community Board 12, Washington Heights / Inwood general meeting in September. I hope everybody had a really great break. For folks who are joining us on Zoom, I hope that you can hear us okay. If at any point you have technical difficulties, please use the chat. We have Sumari, our first vice chair, who is monitoring the chat in case there are any issues. And she is also taking facts for the public session. So if you are in person, I hope in the table, technically in the back or up front, you signed up. And if you are on Zoom, please use the chat and she'll respond to you with your speaking turn. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so technically we cannot yet call our meeting to order. We do not have quorum. As soon as I have quorum, I hope somebody signals me and I'll formally call the meeting to order at the time. And because of that, we can't formally adopt the agenda. There was a special chairs report. Let me just see if the panelist is here. Okay, well, I was actually going to share my time in my chair's report with somebody that I am incredibly grateful to, who was a colleague and as a result formed a friendship. And that's with Angel Vasquez, who was our former first vice chair, who was on the board since 2020, and unfortunately this summer had to step down. So if at any point, somebody, if he comes into the chat, we definitely want to give him his 1 minute, 2 minutes to be able to speak. His board service in the last 3 years was tremendous, and I'm incredibly grateful for a lot of the lessons that he shared with me. But real quick, in terms of this summer at Community Board 12, we had a really active summer, particularly at our board office, prepping for our hybrid transition, working on with the Service Design Studio, who, for folks who've joined our meetings in the past, is embarking in a pilot study, and it's the first kind of study of its type, where Service Design Studio, excuse me, it's a project of the Economic Development Corporation for New York City. And they really focus on public engagement. And we know that community boards, not just ours, but across the city, tend to have a disconnect, right? There tends to be a lot of empty rooms. In some meetings, they tend to have less traffic. And so we really wanted to be able to understand how can we bridge that connect? What can we do better? So we continue to work with them, and they engaged in one-on-one surveys and interviews over the summer. And so for folks who are watching and might have participated, thank you for your service in doing that. And so we'll be presenting that report at our next executive meeting, with which folks are able to tune in. Okay, and I just got alert that we do have quorum, so I'm just going to segue real quick into calling the meeting to order formally at 6:47 p.m. In terms of tonight's agenda, we do have one edit that I would like to add after the public session, which is a call for second vice chair nominations. Are there any other amendments to tonight's agenda? Can you repeat that, please? So the question was where the edit would be going, and it's going to be after the public session. So that's technically number 8. And that's the call for second vice chair nominations. Let me do this and then I will end. Okay, so I hear a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Liz Ritter, so moved.
Liz Ritter moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Darrell Cochran. Are there any objections? Okay. Hearing none, September's agenda is adopted. We do not have any minutes from June. We do expect to have those for next month's meeting. I did hear, sorry, that Angel is here. Where's he at? All right, Angel, if you can unmute.
There we go.
There we go. All right. I kind of, while I was waiting, gave it away a little bit, but I just want to inform you if you weren't here when I said it. Thank you so much on my behalf, on behalf of the exec and elected leadership, for working with you along the last 3 years. Has been a total joy, and I've learned so much. So we really want to give you just, your 2 minutes to speak to the rest of the board, since I know you haven't been able to see folks in a while.
No, thank you, Catherine. Good evening, everyone. Can't express really in words how much of a joy and pleasure it's been to be a part of CB12, just the amount of people that I've met, the relationships that I've built, the genuine friendships that I've also built through my last 3 years, and also just getting to work on great things to improve this part of Manhattan, northern Manhattan, that I love and that I know that every single person on this board loves equally as much. That's why we do this. That's why we volunteer so many hours month after month to be here. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to Catherine, Ebenezer, the executive board, for the wonderful opportunity to serve. It is very sad that I will unfortunately have to be leaving the board. Who knows if it's just temporary, we'll see, but it was something demanded by my new role. I'm serving now as Assistant Secretary for Intergovernmental Affairs in the Governor's Office. So I am at all of your services, which is partially the reason why I can no longer be on the board, because of possible conflicts of interest. But again, thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Angel. And of course, we're always here, so you're always able to swing by, stop by, and forward any community events and whatnot.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So with that, we're going to transition over to our actually, before we transition to our district manager's report, I just wanted to go over some of our meeting norms that we do go over every month, particularly since we are hybrid. For our meeting, let me see, sorry, is the slide there? For the meeting norms. So our general meeting is more of a formal meeting, right, where we vote on items that came before us over the month. So public participation is limited to public sessions. So if you are a community member who's watching or in person, and you have a community issue, complaint, event that you want to share, the public session is where you should be signing up for and being able to speak. Of course, during our committee meetings during the month, they're all divided by topic. You're able to have much more participation, and that can be in person or over Zoom. Board members know this, but again, particularly because we're hybrid, please always raise your hand, whether that's on Zoom or in person. We don't engage in a back and forth discussion. Same thing goes for the public session, right? So sometimes there are issues that folks bring to our attention, and we're actively listening, but we're unable to respond due to parliamentary procedure. And please use the chat function just for technical supports, for dropping links. It's not a space for discussion, given that we're not necessarily able to respond, and comments should be made on the record. So if you have any questions about that and any of our meeting norms, please feel free to use the chat as well. So with that said, we'll go on to our district manager's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always is a pleasure being here as your district manager and give my report. With the help of 3 SYP, we were able to purge the hard copy files, cabinets, and select a group of documents to be scanned and uploaded to our website. Paola, Chanel, under the direction of our Madam Chair, were able to work with the 3 SYP summer camp and able to do this hard task. We were able to go to files all the way back to 1970s and be able to reap what we need to have and maintain and get rid of the other material that we don't need it. Also, we were able to have all our September committee meetings hybrid. Was the first time. We had some hiccups at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the month with the first committees, having a feedback and reverberance. And we trying to get here and there because we were trying to get the best image of the room, showing that and keep it to the microphone on, etc. So we tried, we failed, we tried, we failed, and now you can see we are having this general meeting, and we also had the executive committee meeting without any feedback or reverberance. We expect that next month in October, all the committee meetings going to be on without any trouble because we already have the experience. So thank you for your patience, and we will continue working to improve the hybrid meeting setting. Community Board 12, we have a staff vacancy next month. Our community associate, Ms. Chinel Paniagua, submitted her resignation effective October 27, 2023. As a result, we will have a job posting to recruit new candidates. Also, I need to make an announcement. Paola Garcia, our community coordinator, will go out on sick leave next week to have a knee surgery that is needed for the last few years, and finally was approved, and she will go out. Saying that, we have a staff, I'm not gonna say emergency, but situation. So Catherine, Simari, and myself, we have been working since we learned this two news, and we are working in recruiting candidates. Tonight, we have been assisted by 2 volunteers for this meeting, 2 neighborhood residents. One of them was a candidate. She applied when Chinel was selected, and she is here. We call her, listen, we have the vacancy. If you are interested, please come back and learn how to do. We're going to have an open interview. We're going to have a job posting and everything, and we're going to select the best candidates that we can for this. And I want to say thank you to both of you, Ashley and your sister, Belle Marie. Thank you very much for being here tonight, and the other night helping us as a volunteer. I appreciate your help. And finally, I am fighting with the City of New York, the Department of Sanitation and Police Department, to get rid of a huge number of abandoned vehicles in our district. You may see that wherever you go, there are cars without license plates parked in a spot on the street that they never move. They don't move for cleaning. They don't move for anything. You have cars there with paper license plate for another state. And I noticed that I received a lot of complaints from our residents. And last week at the District Service Cabinet meeting, I started a conversation with the police department and with the Department of Sanitation to see what we can do to improve that. I encourage you, if you see any abandoned car in your block, in your area, in your sector, where you live, in your neighborhood, please send me an email, call me, let me know where the location is. Give me the details, what type of vehicle, the color, the display, all the information you can, in front of which address, because I'm gonna compile a list. And I'm going to be continue fighting with this issue until we get a final resolution in this matter. And finally, committee chairs, please pay attention to the calendar that we blast and we have here tonight. Make sure that your committee items are correct. Make sure that the committee date on the calendar is correct. We're going to review it tomorrow, and we're going to be sending this out by Friday. Thank you very much. This is the end of my report. God bless you all.
All right, thank you, Ebenezer. All right, so with that, we're gonna move to reports from our elected officials. We're gonna start with representatives or electeds that are on Zoom. If any of you have a time constraint, please let me know. And I'm sure our colleagues will adjust for that. All right. So we're going to start with Noah Coit from the Public Advocate's Office, Jamani Williams. All right, Noah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Noah, can you hear us?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, it's just really low.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So I just have a couple of quick talking points. So really quick, you can watch a program called Ask the Advocate on the TV channel News 12. So you can tune into News 12 in Bronx, Brooklyn, or online to watch our monthly segment Ask the Advocate, which is live every third Monday of the month from 7 to 7:30 p.m. That's where the public advocate goes over questions. He answers questions from callers live on air. And as always, to get in touch with our office, you can reach out to us with questions, concerns, or requests for support, assistance, and services by contacting gethelp@advocate.nyc.gov or calling 212-669-7250. That's our office's hotline, and leaving a message. And also to stay in touch with our office, you can sign up for a bi-monthly newsletter. And you can also follow our Eventbrite page, as well as subscribe to a text bot that our office recently established by texting the word hello to 833-933-1692. And you can also check out our blog on our office's website, but I will put all of that in the chat feature on Zoom for the audience. And that wraps it up for me. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you. And again, that was Noah Coy with our public advocate, Jemani Williams' office.
Yes.
All right, excellent. We're gonna go actually to Zoom, and then for folks who are reps and are in the room, if you're able to, we're gonna need you to come down by our parliamentarian Jim Berlin, which is where the microphone is. Jim, if you can raise your hand. All right, cool. So folks are aware. So I'm gonna go next to Jamila Sandoval from Carmen De La Rosa's office, our council member, excuse me, and then we're gonna go to Lori from Espaillat's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Let me just pull up my report. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jamila Sandoval. I'm her Director of Community Affairs for District 10, Councilwoman Carmen De La Rosa. Our office is located in 177 in Wadsworth. It says a very big sign of Carmen De La Rosa. Our office hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We see constituents Monday through Thursday, and we do either appointments or walk-in based on emergency needs. I'll put in my information in the chat after I speak so that you guys have ways of contacting me. In terms of this summer, as we took a break from community board and other meetings, we've been focusing on community events and just also giving our office members a break as well. In the district, we were able to partner with different community organizations and community leaders for back to school backpack giveaways. We were able to collaborate with the Sanitation Foundation for the Great Broadway Sweep. We were able to honor Jason Rivera and the Struco naming ceremony that was with his family and a lot of people who loved him and cared for him. We were able to host a Labor Day event as well within our union, as the councilwoman is the Civil Service and Labor Chair. And we were able to bring union heads and also members to come and celebrate with us an evening. And then we were also able to have Pride on the High Bridge. It was the first Pride event on the High Bridge walkway, which was in partnership with the Stevens side of as a council member of that district. And then in terms of legislation, we were able to pass the Zero Waste Package, the Healthcare Accountability Act, the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA's RESO, which we know now that the WGA we're able to get to a tentative agreement. We were also able to do an e-back exchange program to reduce lithium fires. We were able to also sponsor a menstrual package bill to offer free menstrual products to school-aged children, and also have different hearings regarding exit interviews for municipal workers, Nail Salon Minimal Standards Act, construction standards for public projects, and the Link NYC 5G towers, and also the School Diversity Monitor and Future of Work, which is hybrid work. again, I'll put my contact information in the chat if you ever need to either contact to schedule a meeting with Carmen. I'm also her scheduler, or anything community. You can always contact me or to get in touch with anybody in our office. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamila. We're gonna go next to Lori Tobias Cohen from Congressmember Adriano Espaillat's office. Over here, so people could see you better. It's a little tight, so. Okay, just put it up a little close.
Good evening. Happy to be here. It's been a hiatus since we had our last board meeting, and I'm happy to see old friends and see new faces. I'm here on behalf of Congressman Adriano Espaillat. Thankfully, I was able to distribute this newsletter to some of you, and for those who did not receive it, please take one when you're moving around, because we have a pile of them up there. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I'm not great at holding this. Okay. So I just want to share with you that the congressman was invited as the chair to welcome President Biden to the annual gala of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus gala this year, at which there were only 4,000 people. So it was a very, very exciting event. In addition, he was able to have a beautiful back-to-school fair with resources galore for the youngsters in our district. In addition, the congressman and the Hispanic Caucus led 3 letters to the Biden administration promoting the extension of temporary protected status for the community of Venezuelans who have made their way to New York, and that was successful. And these people will be allowed to stay for some time into the future. Sorry for the noise. The congressman was featured at the Dominican Day Parade, Mexican Day Parade this summer, and he and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez led the New York congressional delegation in touring the migrant shelters and advocating for more federal and congressional support to aid our new New Yorkers. Addressing minority youth, the congressman introduced House Resolution 640, seeking commitment from Congress to fund programs working to close in on the socioeconomic and racial disparity in mental health. This is actually something that has been a very big challenge in the area of Community Board 12, with the loss of mental health beds at Allen Hospital and so on, and it's something that deserved our attention. In addition, he was championing higher education, trying to provide more access to college in more creative ways through HR 5474. And finally, on this page, ensuring energy security for Latin America and the Caribbean. We know how devastating it is, the hurricanes that have afflicted Puerto Rico and elsewhere. So this is all very, very important. I also want to share something else. For those of you who may know developers, we have a wonderful opportunity here. The congressman has been championing, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but excuse me, it's been a long time. He's been championing the development of the Kingsbridge Armory, and there is now a grant for $200 million for the redevelopment of what is the largest armory in the world. We should try to organize a tour. It would really, really be interesting. So if you know anyone, any organization, company, etc., that might want to throw their hat in the ring, please take a look. And finally, all of our contact info, the district office where I am, 720 West 181st, our Harlem district office, which is also home to our 2 immigration specialists, and our DC office. Everything is listed right here. Thank you. I'll take my seat if anyone has any questions, or I'll take it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lori. For folks on Zoom, you can also, I believe, sign up to receive the newsletter. Perfect.
No questions?
Thank you. All right, we're actually going to do a quick shift. As I mentioned, someone actually does have to go, so we're going to pass the mic next to Keisha Sutton James, who's our Deputy Borough President for Manhattan. And Keisha, whenever you're ready. Yeah. I think I will grab, let me see. Who's in there?
Just take someone in the place.
Yeah, all right. So we're gonna jump.
Hi.
Oh.
Sorry, I was trying to say the opposite, I think, to Porfirio, that I was actually transitioning, and it might be best if I went later, but I will go now. Good evening. Can everybody hear and see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm delighted to be with you. We're all, here back from summer. It's been a busy evening visiting a couple of community boards, a couple of bids this evening, but the summer has been insane. We have been all over, the borough and the district, this summer as well as this fall. Giving out reusable bags and masks and COVID tests, and helping, and with the help of dozens of volunteers that we've recruited over the course of the year. By the way, we launched an MBPO volunteer corps that has been fantastic, and they've been helping us with a number of different activities that we've been doing.
Okay.
For folks to join in with us. In fact, actually, there's information on our website if anybody wants to join our office and volunteering on the different projects that we're planning. One of the things, for example, that we did is at the beginning of the school year, the first day of school, we created a new back to school resource guide, and handed out 2,000 kits, essentially, that with the resource guide, which includes information like where you can find free after school programs, accessing early childcare, and healthcare, mentorship programs, food assistance, and so much more.
Let me see. Sorry, Keisha, you froze. You can hear us. Let me message her. Keisha, you're breaking up and we can hear us, I'm gonna, if it's okay with folks, I'm gonna mute her real quick, and then maybe we can get her back. Oh, all right, she lost. All right, so what I'm gonna do in the meantime, if you can text with her, I'll jump to Edgar from Senator Jackson's office, who is online. And then maybe we can wrap up her report.
Good evening, everybody, and to the entire community board, of course. So this was definitely a very active summer for us. We partook in things as back to school programs, back to school events, handing out thousands of book bags for kids, especially a lot of young students that are new children of asylum seekers who are living in our community. We also took on a senior center tour. We visited all the different senior centers, took tally of the different concerns that the constituents have, and which we are working on, especially in helping improve the conditions of the senior centers and just the lives of the people living in our senior centers. Also, we gave out a lot of checks this summer, up until last week as well. We funded places like Cabrini Immigrant Services of New York with a $17,000 check, Uptown Stories with $15,000, Jazz Power Initiative with $15,000, as well as other different local organizations that are doing a lot of great work for the people. Also, we have information for people who are interested in capital allocation requests, which are in order to receive funding from our offices. And of course, you can contact us at jackson@newyorksenate.gov for information. This information is also on the newsletter. I'll put that information in the chat. We're also hosting a series of tenant house clinics with the Met Council on housing at Union in the Heights, which is at our location at 5030 Broadway. There's one happening today at this evening, but we have a few happening in October, November, and December. Of course, keep in contact with us or Met Council for that information. You can also follow us on Instagram, or we continue to put that information out for everybody. We're also helping people with this with their EBT skimming issues, which we receive a lot of phone calls regarding that. So we ourselves have partaken in training to help people submit their claims into HRA to get help receiving the money that has been stolen from them. Also, we have a project coming up, something that we've been working on for a while with the New York City DOT and the mayor's office and the NYPD, dealing with drag racing, especially in the Cabrini area, along Broadway, along Amsterdam, and trying to minimize the amount of drag races that are happening in Washington Heights and Inwood. Again, any concerns, any questions, you can contact us Monday to Friday. We are always seeing our constituents and helping people out. 212-544-0173 is our number. And yeah, anything that you may need help with, we are there to help, of course. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Edgar. That was actually right on time. Again, for folks on Zoom, his information is in the chat, and you can for any elected official who's speaking tonight, our district manager and the staff at the office have their contact info. So Keisha's back. We're gonna put some 2 minutes, Mari, for Keisha to be able to wrap up her report. Hopefully, we're good now.
Apologies, everyone. So I think where I left off, hopefully you all heard me where I left off. I was talking about the Immigration Resource Fair that we are having next on the 4th next week at 4 p.m. at the Frederick Douglass Community Center, which is located at 885 Columbus Avenue. We'll be discussing important topics like asylum, deportation, visas, temporary protection status. We'll also be distributing free backpacks while supplies last. Please share this information with immigration rights organizers, lawyers, or anyone you know who's going through the immigration process. I know that Porfirio has the flyer for it, so I'm sure he has already shared it with the community board and leadership, and hopefully they will be getting that out to everyone as well. In addition, just a couple more things. We are having our office will be hosting an MWBE contractor event along with HPD and a number of different agencies, and it will be happening on October 11th, so a week later. It will be at the State Office Building on 125th Street from 3 to 6. Be an amazing opportunity for small business owners to gain an in-depth knowledge about contracting procedures, opportunities within HPD, as well as connecting folks with local resources. They are really, really anxious to be in touch with contractors of all sizes. So, you know, someone who can take on a $700 locksmith contract up to $1 million, multi-million-dollar development contracts. The point is that they want to get people at every level and continue to work them up the food chain, if you will. So please share with MWB contractors, whether it's mold abatement or locksmiths or what have you, anybody you know, please share. And I will drop that Eventbrite it's free, obviously, but I will drop the Eventbrite in the chat. And then finally, our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. I'm very excited about that. BP Levine will be hosting Latinos in Tech experience at the 92nd Street Y at 1395 Lexington Avenue on October 17th from 6 to 8. The event will connect and acknowledge people in the tech industry that are part of the movement to create and provide equity and access to careers in tech innovation. We'll also host a conversation about hot button issues in tech today and a networking reception afterwards. I will drop that in the chat as well for folks. And that's it.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to say you're right. Thank you for dropping it in the chat. I know Porfirio is also here in person. So for folks in person who want to get connected to the MBPO office, just see Porfirio right here on the corner.
Perfect.
And thank you so much for joining us. Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Phil Marius from Assemblymember Manny de los Santos' office. Phil, are you still there? We go.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, and we'll start.
Super. Good evening, everyone, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. My name is Phil Marius. I'm the Legislative and Communications Director for Assemblymember Manny de los Santos. I joined the team in February, right in the middle of the busy budget season. So I was focusing mostly in Albany, but I'm happy to be switching my focus now to the community, the district in the second half of the year, and presenting my first CB12 presentation on behalf of my colleagues. From the Constituent Services Department, we're helping constituents mostly with housing applications, applying for public assistance, SNAP benefits for the most part. And on average, we're seeing 50 to 60 constituents every day. And I think that this high volume just shows how effective we are and how resourceful we are to constituents. So if you know of anyone or if yourself needs any help, please feel free to reach out to us. I can leave my contact information in the chat box. And we've also began bring our great services to the community with our new mobile office series. We did our last one at the Inwood Library, and this basically helps us bring our great services with housing applications, SNAP benefits applications, so on and so forth. Into the community. I also want to highlight a free mammogram screening that's going to be taking place on November 29. I can also provide information of that in the chat box. Moving along to the Community Affairs Department. In the past month and a half, we've been engaged with a lot of back to school events, hosting our own, oftentimes helping other community partners execute their own book bag giveaways, school supplies giveaways, and we've also started our Manny on Your Block series. This is basically giving Manny a chance to present on the work that he's doing, more or less like what I'm doing right now, but on an individual basis, right out there in the community. And it also gives us an opportunity to hear from constituents what the issues are and the best way we can solve them legislatively, and which takes me to my next point, the legislative update. Right now, after session, we've introduced at least 3 bills, one public safety bill, which would require mopeds and scooters to be licensed and also covered by liability insurance. This helps improve responsibility and accountability whenever there's an accident. Then there are 2 tenant protection bills. One bill would basically ban landlords from imposing fees for late rent payments. And the other bill simply would allow all tenants this time, including Section 8 tenants, to withhold their rents whenever there's a building violation or their apartments are basically unlivable. Right now, not all tenants have that right, but this bill would give them that right. So these are all my updates. If you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Phil, for joining us tonight. Again, in the chat, you can connect with our office if you would like any specific emails or any questions in terms of the reports. We have our last elected official speaker or rep before we transition to our public session, which is Oliver Betances, I believe from Council Member Sean Abreu's office.
Yes, thank you, Catherine, and good afternoon to everyone. I'll start off with a big community event that the council member has coming up. So on Saturday, October 14th, our office will provide free mammograms through the American Italian Cancer Foundation's mobile mammography van. Appointments are limited, so please call or email our office to schedule a free mammogram. Moving on to budget items. Because we haven't met since the budget passed in June, we wanted to highlight a critical budget win that will be coming to CB12. And that is $7.4 million for the 10-mile river playground, a beloved and heavily used uptown space in Riverside Park that hasn't been renovated in decades. We particularly want to see the bathroom renovated. The bathroom uses an outdated septic tank, but with this funding, it will be connected to the city's sewer line so it can be open year-round. And lastly, for a few legislative items, starting with the topic on exit interviews. And so 2 weeks ago, the council passed Councilmember Abreu's law requiring city agencies to conduct exit interviews with employees who quit or retire. Right now, the city government is seriously understaffed, and we want to take steps to keep good people in public service. That starts by talking to people about why they're leaving. And so the council member is excited about that passing on. Moving on to another recent legislative topic on timeliness of city FEPS payments. As many of us know, city FEPS, a lot of families have been able to find housing through these vouchers. And so in the spring, Councilmember Abreu passed a law that brings the city's payments of housing vouchers into the 21st century. Now, the city must allow landlords to opt into the instant electronic delivery of rental assistance payments, greatly reducing the risk of late, incorrect, or undelivered checks and the eviction proceedings that follow missed payments. Another topic on legislation, reusables. Last stated meeting, Councilmember Abreu introduced legislation allowing sports fans and spectators to bring reusable water bottles into all sports venues, professional and collegiate, across the city. This will go a long way towards reducing waste and single-use plastic. And last but certainly not least, childcare bills. And so the Councilmember Abreu also introduced a set of bills that would expedite the backlog of background checks for childcare providers. This backlog is making staffing really tough on our daycares and driving up costs for parents, so it's an important issue for us to address. Thank you, and as always, feel free to email or call our office with any questions. I will leave that information in the chat. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, thank you, Oliver. And that concludes reports from electeds. Thanks, folks, for holding on. We're gonna start the public session, and we're gonna start with Zoom first, and then in person, since most of the rest of the meeting is gonna be in-person speakers. So I have somebody here to help. He's not on the top. No, he's just. I think first up is David, right? Yeah. All right. So first up we have David Brown. If I can find David. Oh, yeah. And then we'll start your time, David.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thanks very much. I'm here tonight to encourage the full board to support the recommendation of the licensing committee regarding Buddha Corp. The licensing committee heard the strong opposition of the community to granting a license for a full liquor license for this location. There has been consistently strong opposition to a bar at this location. It's a terrible location. But more importantly, since Buddha Corp was granted a wine license by the SLA, they've proven that they are completely untrustworthy and irresponsible. They've been illegally selling hard liquor, even though they don't have a license to do so. So we thank the licensing committee for hearing the community's concerns and recognizing that this applicant in no way, shape, or form can be trusted with a full liquor license. I strongly encourage the full board to follow the lead of the licensing committee and hear the community. Don't give this applicant a liquor license that they cannot be trusted with. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, David. And that's from board members in the public. That is agenda item number 19. All right, next up, we have someone I hope we get to hear from very frequently. which is Gregory Silverman, who's with the West Side Campaign Against Hunger.
Thank you so much, everyone, for all the work you do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Greg Silverman. I run the West Side Campaign Against Hunger. We alleviate hunger by ensuring all New Yorkers have access with dignity to a choice of healthy food and supportive services. We've been around based on the Upper West Side for about 44 years, but our customer base for all that time has been coming from Hamilton Heights, Washington Heights, Inwood, South Bronx. And so to do better work across the city, we are, sorry, I have some small children around. We are opening up a warehouse distribution facility for indirect distribution across New York City. It'll be based on 180th in the old post office building. So it'll be our distribution with all of our dozens of community partners across the city, especially our folks in Washington Heights, like New York Presbyterian, El Nido de Esperanza, School in the Square, Nimick, many partners further north and into the South Bronx. So we just wanted to let folks know that we're going to be moving a lot of our facilities and our warehousing. We give out about 4 million pounds of food a year. Half of that is fresh produce. So we're going to be reaching out and want to be connected with as many community groups as we can to make sure that we're supporting and helping and part of the amazing community in Northern Manhattan that I call home as well. So super excited to have a first meeting with everyone in the future and look forward to be doing open houses and tours and community events to sort of get to know everyone in a deeper way. So thanks. And I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce the organization.
Thank you so much, Gregory. We as a board this year have definitely taken on doing more community tours of locations we're very familiar with, others that we're not as familiar with. So definitely stay close and connected because I know a lot of board members would like a new tour of the site.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Next up, we're going to go in person. So if you are able to come down, great. If not, we will come up to you with our lava mic. So first up, I'm gonna say the names in order. We have 5 speakers. It's Arlene, Danita, and Eileen are the first 3. You want them back here? Yeah, yeah, right here, right there. Is that where you can see them? Arlene, all right, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, hello, everyone. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, my name is Arlene Wasserman. Okay, and I'm speaking in reference to the Buddha Corp nightclub. The Buddha Corp will attract a lot of potential problems, noise, potential crime, etc. I live right across the street from that site. Another potential problem would be the heavy traffic that it would attract. As a driver, this would create a traffic madhouse. It is crowded already. I urge you to support the licensing committee's decision. Thank you.
Eileen? Oh, yeah, it's the same. Eileen King?
I'm Eileen.
Oh, you're the famous Eileen. Okay, I'm excited. All right.
Along with Arlene and another resident and board member, friend, I'm appealing to the community board to give your support to the decision of the licensing committee to oppose to do the call. As David has already said, they have not been able to abide by their own licensing rule. They got a license and for wine and beer, and they have been serving consistently alcohol, hard alcohol. We have provided evidence of this to the FLA, to the community board for licensing committee, and to 34th precinct. So I'm appealing to the community board as responsible for the safety and well-being of our community, that this is not a responsible corporation, and they have demonstrated over and over again that they can attracted to abide by the laws of the SLA. Thank you.
Next is Danita, right? Yeah.
Hello. I'm Danita Nichols. I'm the manager of Inwood Library. This is the first time I've been back in person here. It's exciting but different than it used to be. I'm here representing Inwood Library, 4857 Broadway, Washington Heights Library, 1000 St. Nicholas Avenue, and Fort Washington Library, 535 West 179th Street, which is currently closed. But what I really wanted, the first thing I wanted to make sure is that you all know that even when a library is closed, like Fort Washington, there's a team of people working and ready to come out to the community. And all of us, Inwood and Washington Heights. So, and there is a really easy way to know how to contact a library branch nowadays. If you know the name of the branch, the email will be the name of the branch at NYPL for New York Public Library.org. So Inwood at NYPL.org. So you want someone to come out to read stories to the preschoolers, you want someone to come out to give library cards somewhere, show seniors how to access ebooks. Whatever part of this community you are in, the library is there for you. And I have some of this information I can leave here and I can send in to be sent out to the community. The other thing I wanted to say is that this Friday, really exciting thing, the pilot program for free wireless from libraries is kicking off from the Washington Heights
Would you say,
Library.
use your purple,
Sorry about that.
your pencils. Where's your folder?
You're a lovely hybrid situation. So this Friday at 11:30 at Washington Heights Library, 1000 St. Nicholas, they are going to be kicking off this free wireless from the library program. It's a pilot. It will cover the area around Washington Heights, and we want it to be very successful so that the library can be a part of solving this accessibility need for a lot of parts of this city. So, and then free books on Saturday at the same library from 1 to 3, honoring the first African-American woman leader of the New York Public Library, and I can close. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Danita. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Out you go. It's 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alice Sarah. I'm representing Whitehall Community Partnership. I'll try to be brief before the phone goes off and it comes to the speaker. But I'm here to announce, in case you guys are not familiar with Riseboro is a community nonprofit organization that's been serving the city of New York for now 50 years. So it's our 50-year anniversary along with hip hop. Just like going in that bag. But today I just want to announce that we have certain job positions available. We're really excited to announce our 37 and Hillside location where we are looking for a superintendent. We are really trying to hire locally. Riseboro prides in paying competitive wages. So if anyone worry about that, there's nothing, don't worry there. But yes, the superintendent job, they will be available to live on site. Also, we are looking for two porters. Those will not live on site, but the superintendent job will be on site. And again, we do wish to hire locally. So if anyone knows of anybody looking for those kind of jobs, please reach out to us. We'll leave our information at that desk. And thank you again for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And then let's. Take this off so you can hear me.
My name is Liz Britter, and I'm representing Uptown Wagon and the Free Store. Some of you may have heard of Uptown Wagon. We've been doing weekly distribution to unhoused New Yorkers on 125th Street since the middle of 2020. We also run a pop-up free store, pretty much what it sounds like. You come in the shop, but everything is free. We did that about every 6 weeks at the Manhattan Borough President's Office until we outgrew the space. And then in the spring, we did a free store at the Armory.
and then we won again just last week. I'm here to tell you that it was a wild success. And I mention it because I think it's important for this board to know that the Armory hosted us for 2 days. It's a 3-hour event, but we spent a day and a half collecting and sorting things, setting stuff up, creating, nice looking departments so that it's a store, so people can shop for things with dignity. They provided that space for free, security people, porters to help us clean up all of the tables for free. So, whatever else you may be wondering about what's happening at the Armory, know that they do that. We're in discussions with them to do that again. Our hope is that we can do this twice a year. We'll hard to work around their track schedule, but we're hoping to do another one in the spring. And when we do, we're hoping that you can come and donate your new or gently used household goods, clothing, toys, things like that. Huge shout out to the Borough President's office for their support in this, because if we did not have them underwriting this event with insurance, we would not be able to do that. So thank you, Porfirio. We served over 500 people. We gave away literally tons of clothing. There was virtually nothing left. And for me, the hardest thing was when I was giving toys out to kids online and asked someone, where are you from? She said, Colombia. So how did you get here? She said, we bought.
No moment of silence. No minute of silence.
I forgot. Wearing my community board hat. That was my public speaking announcement. Wearing my community board hat. I would like to have that we take a moment of silence in memory of our former community board, Howard B. Hall. She hadn't been on the board for a while, so I think it's really only some of the longer standing members who will be. She was a remarkable woman. She was smart. She was funny in a very interesting combination of sharp and gentle. She worked hard. She kept her commitments. She took absolutely no BS. She had tremendous personal style. The world was a better place for her having been here on the moment. She made great things.
New push me there. Thank you so much, Shada. That concludes the public session at this time. We're going to move through our agenda. So we have the call for second vice chair nominations. I'll kind of just quickly explain that. Yeah, Liz.
Oh, you said a call for second vice nominations and I had a nomination.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna just quickly explain for folks who are like, wait, what's happening, right? So Angel stepped down. Sorry, I'm short, y'all. Angel stepped down, and as per our bylaws, the second vice chair move well, not automatically, but if they consent, they move up, meaning that Simari is now our first vice chair. So we have the vacancy of our second vice chair. In our bylaws, it states that if we have more than 3 months, we have to have a special election. And so we're in this we are more, even though we have elections in December, it's the end of September. So we have to have a special election at this time. So the role of second vice chair, it's obviously one of the leadership positions on the board, working really closely with me, Simari, and the office. It says there are in the bylaws, as you'll see, kind of like if this person is absent, you have to take on these functions. What I would say for folks who are thinking about it or haven't thought about it, probably 5 hours a week, maybe extra, and working on different projects. So there is, as y'all know, Angel was our machete at our meeting. He was very strict with the time. And so being able to support in putting together the run of show for our general meeting, checking in with board membership. So among the three of us, we really split checking in with board members, seeing how they feel observing our meetings. And then of course there are new initiatives like our tours, like different guides and toolkits that we're working to put on together. So it's also kind of initiative based and based on different interests, but that's a little bit of the second vice chair role. So I hear Liz has a hand up for nomination.
I'd like to nominate Daryl Suffering.
Well, Daryl's in person, so Daryl would have, so actually what I'm doing, it works that way, right? Like people nominate from the floor, you
Yeah.
accept. Okay,
If the person accepts, that's the second.
right.
I'd like to nominate Daryl Suffering.
Daryl accepts. Okay.
I just correcting my colleague, there are no seconds. If someone's nominated, they're nominated. But of course, they have to agree with second.
With that said, is there anyone else who would like to nominate or nominate themselves? Check on Zoom.
This is Alana Ferreira. I would like to nominate Wayne Benjamin if he accepts. Thanks. I tried.
We still have to vote for that.
Everything is equals a context.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anybody else? Okay. So hearing none right this time, right? Daryl is the only one on the ballot. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna move.
Could I just?
Yeah.
Let me give you a little history. This is not a secret ballot. It turns out everything gets published tomorrow. We're not allowed to have secret ballots. The reason we have the written ballot is because we don't want people to be embarrassed by seeing other people vote against them and all this other kind of stuff. And it's way back when we had secret ballots, but then we preserved this thing, you know. Now, it would seem to me, and this is up to Daryl since he's the only candidate, if he wants to waive the written ballot, he can probably do that. We will have a ballot that you get, a vote that you get to watch, and then we can say it a great deal of time, but that's entirely up to you. You're agreeing to waive.
There's also another one.
Oh, there is. I take it back.
Robin. Robin's gonna, accept the nomination.
Okay, all right. So we have two candidates at the time, Robin and Daryl. Okay. So that means since we have a contested election, okay, cool, got it. All right, so we had a thought of foresight. Anyone else?
Last time. I'd like to nominate Joel Ray. Joel,
Okay. Joel in the mic, if y'all need the microphone, he's a no.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so we had to get the foresight. So we do have paper ballots. So what we're gonna do is craft some paper ballots with both names. We currently have one member who is on Zoom, sorry, two members on Zoom. I have a Google form, if you will, Felicia, and Hector is still around. So I'm gonna email you those, and then there you can cast your vote for the second vice chair.
People, they have to write it themselves.
Yeah, they're gonna have to write themselves. And then what we'll do is we'll go to the next agenda item as we organize ourselves. Is it 3 people, Jim, that I need to count ballots? 3. Okay. All right. Is that a volunteer or a microphone, Mary? Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Give me a second, Mary. Michelle's gonna bring the microphone up to you. Oh, see, Mary hasn't. Oh, who got the mic? The lava mic. Sorry, I'm making you go in circles. Mary Anderson up top.
Okay.
And Indiana. Thank you. Hi, Indiana. I didn't see you earlier.
I'm sorry, because it's very difficult for me to hear back here. And I did not get the name of the second nominee.
I apologize. Robin Cruz. So Darryl Cochran and Robin Cruz. Okay, what give me 1 second.
Jim, do they usually?
And we write both things down and then check off.
Y'all want to say something?
Would either of the candidates like?
Oh, yeah, you can.
tell us if anything they have covered?
All right, so Jumila's gonna, since we are in election hall, she's gonna write it on the board, so the spelling is correct. All right. Are there any questions about what's taking place at this time? Yeah, write both names, even if you're voting, because technically folks also have the option of voting for none. Yeah, I'm gonna give the mic back to Jim.
And I'm going to agree with Kathy that your name has to be on the ballot, because it can't be a secret ballot. And just in case we can't read and scribble, that's why we're asking your opinion.
All right, so I'm gonna give folks actually a minute to get settled. If you're cool with me moving forward to the next agenda item, let me know. All right, I see thumbs up to move forward. All right. Tanisha, Hector, I got you the second time. So we're gonna, next up on the agenda, what we have is an executive committee resolution supposed to be presented by me and Jim. It's pretty straightforward. I know we've been talking a lot about it since the summer.
Can you say how you abstain on the sheet, just in case?
Just don't want to.
Okay.
And essentially it's that in the summer, open meetings law added qualified disability as an option for virtual participation, right? So as folks got in our emails, board members in our case would be able to self-certify as having a qualified disability. And so you can participate on Zoom. And what makes that distinct from, let's say I had an emergency and other forms of participation or allowable forms of participation on Zoom is that you count towards quorum when you do have a qualified disability. So that's one of the distinctions. Everybody has received the form, so folks submit that to the office, it's on file. And then you can participate in the meetings virtually or in person with that certification. The FAQs for it are being updated after we vote. So at the next edition of the board member newsletter, you'll see some extra responses based on questions we got. Are there any hands on that? And I'm gonna let Jim do that while I work on the certification.
I just wanted to mention that the second be it resolved, there's a typographical error at the end of the second line. There's the word be, which should be in, so we're just going to change it because it's the typo. And on the next line, it says quorum criterion, that's redundant, so we're just going to say quorum. And those are sort of, you know, typos, and we're just fixing them, and you will vote on what we just fixed, if you don't mind.
Liz has a hand.
Liz?
Okay, okay. So I just like, I'm a little confused. Under the rules and instructions for hybrid meetings, item 1, it talks about, that board members can meet in several locations. I know that we need to have like an in-person quorum or an augmented in-person quorum, but if there are multiple locations, say a quorum is 20 people, if there are 5 in one location and 14 in another location and 1 person with a qualifying disability waiver, that counts, right?
That, this is.
Okay, thank you.
But not only does it count, but the other complication is that the locations where people meet have to be public. Right, well, I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Jim?
It's actually not as much a question for Jim, it's point of information. The form that was circulated on, that was September 6th for you to certify your disability specifically speaks to participation in borough board meetings. And I think we want to revise that, so we're talking about participating in either committee meetings or general meetings.
You're looking at an old copy, the current copy talks about how you.
Right, that's why I think the one was circulated originally on the 6th, referred to the borough.
That is correct, that's not the one we're looking at.
Okay.
All right, and just for the record, Tanisha, you should have received your ballot via email. And let's just double check if there are any other board members online.
What do you want to do by counting the ballot?
I'm gonna get the.
Okay.
All right. So at this time, actually, so we got the exec, before we go to land use, I'm gonna need 3 volunteers to help count the ballots. All right, Anthony's 1, Liz is 2, and Tracy's 3. What we could do, you can go into the lobby or the back of this room, however you guys see fit. And then who's collecting ballots? Actually, one of the 3, if you can collect ballots. Or were they collecting? Oh, Ebenezer got them. All right. My 3 volunteers, are y'all good? Okay, count, get the tally, come down, meet me later. All right, we're gonna go to our land use. There are 2 resolutions before us, items B and C. Wayne can come on up and use the lava mic. It's just more visible.
Thank you. So land use has 2 resolutions to present, but before I do that, I want to welcome our 2 new land use committee members, Heidi Guzman and Tracy McNeil, who is leading us to count votes. And also I want to thank Anthony Viola for taking on the task of, drafting the minutes and getting to us in a timely manner. It's really a help. So the first resolution pertains to planning principles as a framework for the development of new residential buildings in Washington Heights and Inwood. As we all know, at the end of January of this year, Mark Levine released a plan for identifying sites throughout the borough that could potentially be developed for affordable housing. The Land Use Committee has discussed that plan, I think, at every committee meeting except the June meeting, and we are continuing that discussion in collaboration with Housing and Human Services. But in the interim, we thought it was useful for the community board to pass a resolution that outlined certain guidelines that we want our elected officials in city agencies to adopt and advocate on our behalf, because we are not at the table when these projects are being discussed with developers. And by the time they come to us for review, they're already baked. There's very little that can be done or be changed because they're going to close in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks, or everything is already done. So those principles, in no particular order, speak to defining affordability by the local area median income in Washington Heights and Inwood, which are zip codes 1032, 33, 34, and 40, as opposed to the citywide, which is much higher. The architectural design of buildings should respect the scale, character, and density of their surroundings. New buildings should address or must address the range of local housing needs. So we need senior housing, supportive housing, housing for youth aging out, across the edge. Like, what does this neighborhood need as opposed to what are citywide demands? The design and allocation of residential units must meet local housing needs. Far too often, there's a high concentration of studios and one bedrooms, which are not family size units. Consider when we are looking at 1 or 2 story buildings, mixed use development that would allow retail on the ground floor and residential above. That type of building is, old as the city is. I mean, that's nothing new. We don't need buildings sitting on major avenues that don't take advantage of retail on the ground floor. Incorporate sustainable design features in all new developments. Pursue opportunities for adaptive reuse and revitalization of vacant underutilized buildings, which is something that is pointed out in the plan, and also prioritize the development of vacant lots. There are many vacant lots that are sitting around that have not moved in decades. So that's the first resolution. The second resolution is pretty straightforward. The building across the street from where we are now, the Fort Washington Armory, while it is not a landmark, it is on the National Register of Historic Places. The roof leaks. The Department of Design and Construction is undertaking a project to fix the roof leaks, fix some parapet walls that are damaged because of the roof leaks. And when that is done, they will fix interior finishes that were damaged because of the roof leaks. So that's a pretty straightforward project. They have to present to the Public Design Commission in the middle of October. They actually submitted the application the 22nd of this month, but it is not reviewed, I think, until the 16th of October. So our resolution will get to PDC in time for that review. So that's the second resolution. Are there any questions on either of the 2 resolutions? Debbie?
All right.
Wait.
You can come here. Wayne, you can answer for me.
I do.
Yeah, this is sort of an evergreen comment for me, but I will always take a little issue with in the whereas when we say, however, how we describe local housing needs. So you're making a presumption about its family size. And while I agree that much of our built environment have more than other places in Manhattan, family size apartments, based on saying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come in desperate for housing in my prior job, and I imagine most electeds would say this. Out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, exactly one was a family of more than like 2 people, well, of 4. And so when we talk, I mean, it would be great to start talking in a data supported way, not about who we are, because we have these apartments with families, we do, but in terms of the applicant pool for affordable housing, which I've described as crisis, goes way beyond our needs. Was disproportionately people looking at their retirement, etc., living in maybe a shared apartment with a shared kitchen and saying, I don't want to grow old without privacy. It was single people, it was maybe single people, one child, and occasionally couples. It was never a bigger family apartment. In people that were on 20 years of waiting lists in NYCHA, or the tens and hundreds of thousands of people that apply to Housing Connect application after Housing Connect application. It seems like that data should be available.
It is.
That's applying. But it might feel from seeing these people come in every day for 4 years, it's not as we describe it. And so then calling out like seniors and youth aging out of foster care, it's a crisis. It is everybody.
So Debbie?
Everybody.
Debbie?
Has housing.
Yes. The item number 3 says new housing developments must address the range of local housing needs, and e.g. is for example. It's not saying that it should only be that, but as you've discussed, and we had this discussion last year, I believe with HPD when they came to us, the data is available. And when we ask them, are they referencing the data when they're sitting with the developers to come up with 60 or 75% studios and ones? There's no clear answer that they're looking at the demand in the area to come up with that. Development is a numbers game, and they're seeking to get the largest number of units in there. And if you look at and that's another item, if you look at the size of some of the studios, I've been at some really livable studios in existing buildings here. The studios in new construction is a room with a bathroom and not a kitchen, but a sort of a Pullman kitchen. They're very small. So I agree with you that, you know, if there's a demand for studios, but you want those studios to be livable. So that's what it's saying. It's not saying it should only be those. It said it should address the range. And that means they should look at the data. And when they come to Washington Heights and Inwood to develop, they shouldn't be designing for Chelsea. Other questions on either, Rizzo?
Yeah.
Wait, we need to get the mic. No, use the mic because they won't hear you on the Zoom.
Hi, good evening. My name is Indiana Flora, and I'm one of the newer City members. I was wondering if it's just possible to also include expressly say accessible housing, given that some of these buildings will be either constructed or completely redone, making sure that there are a couple of steps to get into the building, and that even if it is a studio, that like wheelchair accessibility.
I certainly have no objection to adding in item 3 when we talk about local needs accessibility. I would point out that any new construction or any substantial rehabilitation has to comply with building code for accessibility, but I have no problem specifically, you know, stating that. I also did get a friendly amendment in the be it resolved that when we talk about urging the mayor and the borough president, Department of Housing Preservation Development, it was pointed out that we should specifically cite the Department of City Planning and the Economic Development Corporation, which are often involved in these. So I have once again no problem adding that as a friendly amendment to the be it resolved. Anything else?
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for writing this wonderful plaza, especially about the Manhattan Heights. I was very interested by the Emily Marte, co-chair of housing. I was interested in knowing if in the meetings that you had with the Manhattan Borough President, if they had mentioned anything regarding the vacant units in New York City, or because I imagine that different boroughs also have the same issue, like there's thousands of units that are just vacant, and if in the project that would be something that could be included, or if they're just focusing on vacant lots and properties or buildings that are, but I know that's like, it could be completely irrelevant. Just that question.
Yeah, just for clarification, the land use committee has not met with the borough president's office on this. I mean, we've reviewed the plan. It might be a good joint effort for land use and housing and human services, which is talking about collaborating to have a meeting with the borough president to talk about that and other things. Anything else? Back to you.
Thank you. Oh, you want to go? I'll pass the mic whenever you're ready. We're gonna go to Liz of Parks. All right. If you can come up here, since Michelle has a lot of a mic for folks in the audience.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Excellent. Wasn't sure what order to do this, but so that I don't get accused of burying the lead, after having been on the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee chair for longer than I've served on the board, which is 26 years, and having chaired this committee for, I don't know, a very long time, I am stepping down. I will still be on the board, but I am resigning as Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee's chair because I'm going to be doing a lot of other things with my personal life that involve being not in this time zone. And it seemed irresponsible for me to continue to chair it. So I will leave the work of this committee in the very capable hands of Luana Ferreira, who will be taking over as chair, and also Alexis Marnell, who is newly appointed to the board, but has been a public member for several years and will be the assistant chair. So they will do a great job. Please give them all the love that you have given to me and to Parks and to Cultural Affairs in Community Board 12. That said, please read the minutes, which I finally got it together to do. Thank you, Alexis. We have, yay, shout out to Danny Bonilla. Sorry if I'm stepping on traffic and transportation, since technically it's a tunnel, but it's art. And our own Danny Bonilla did a kick-ass job, can I say that? In the tunnel, along with a bunch of other artists. It's beautiful. Go check it out. Yay to the Duchess of Alba and Velasquez's little girl, who are back home at the Hispanic Society Museum and Library, which is open. Go see those wonderful works of art. They're great. Speaking of art, read the minutes. We've got some excellent public art, temporary public installations coming to the district. A wonderful installation at Il Catania Payan Park on Broadway and 157th Street, and 7 sculptures going in various places in Fort Tryon Park. It's going to be great. Check them out. We have, for the meat of this presentation, we have a reso in support of the Parks Department's proposed reconstruction and renovation of the retaining wall at J. Hood Wright Park. For those of you familiar with the park, it takes up the space between Haven Avenue, Fort Washington Avenue, from 173rd to 176th Streets. There is a retaining wall at the entrance near 176th Street at Pinehurst Avenue, sort of the middle of the park. And as part of public money funded through the mayor's office to fix a whole bunch of retaining walls around the city and several in this district, including in J. Hood Wright Park. They had given a presentation back in the fall of 2021 about the work to be done at J. Hood and other places. They came back to our last meeting to give an updated presentation because they got some additional money to expand the scope to include work on the pedestrian ramp, which was not the proper grade, didn't have a landing. So it was a ramp, but it was not fully accessible. It also didn't have railings on both sides. So they're going to be reconstructing that. They gave a full presentation. It's pretty well encapsulated in the minutes and in the resolution itself. There is a typo at the beginning. I forgot the 6th and 176th Street. I don't want anybody to think that we've moved J. Hood Wright Park down to the Village. That should say 176th Street, not 17th Street, in the 3rd line of the first whereas. The one sort of thing that came up that was at all an item of contention or inquiry was the extent to which repairs would be made to the handball courts. Now, anything that is being ripped up as a result of the construction will be restored to what it looked like before the construction started. So to the extent that they're poking around that little soccer field or any other aspect of the park, that will be repaired. But things that are not part of this project, namely the retaining wall and the pedestrian ramp, are outside of the scope. So we had a question about the handball courts, which really need some love. And the Parks Department did commit to doing their best to making some of the necessary repairs. We got a friendly amendment to change, would be able to make to in the second to last whereas, would work to make necessary repairs so that many layers of paint can be removed and that can be restored to a better state of use. But to be clear, that would be work that the Parks Department will be looking to do, which is outside of the scope of the project. So do people have, and this reso passed unanimously. in the committee with 7 votes. Do people have questions? Jay? Hold on. Wait, you gotta wait for the mic because we can hear you, but the folks on Zoom can't.
My question about the handball court is, this isn't 1953. Is it actually being used?
Yes,
To play
yes,
handball?
yes. People still play handball. And one of the things to keep in mind is while it's true that handball courts can be used to some extent as a backboard practice for tennis, we actually discussed at some length the possibility of like repainting the handball courts for pickleball or whatever. People do use handball, and we have lost a lot of handball courts. This is not something that I know because I play handball. I don't, but it's something that has come up periodically. We keep on losing handball courts. So yeah, people do play it. There's a question back there, or?
I was just gonna say, yes, those handball courts are used every.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So a good share of that.
Shocking, but true. And we have some handball aficionados on the board. Okay, I encourage you to vote in favor, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. Next up, we're gonna go to licensing, and then we will vote and then results of that. Again, applaud to the licensing committee.
We need more licensing resolution.
We need more. Well, wait till we get cannabis licenses and other things. See on this. Thank you, Simari.
I forgot to mention that, as always, Steve is really good at catching whatever grammatical mistakes and typos I made. So I'm accepting as friendly a couple of his changes there, that they're not material, but they do make it a better result.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Can you guys hear me? Oh, thank you so much. Quick note, I had a meeting with the SLA chairperson, the new commissioner, back in August 18th. It was a really great meeting with this new person. Remember that she's the one that is going to accept or decline all of our recommendations. And something that really kind of touched on me was that this person, the new chairperson, Commissioner Han, she's actually from a community board. She used to be the district manager for one of the community board that was the Lower East Side, I believe. So the good thing that she said is that she's going to pay close attention to what you guys say as a community board, what you recommend. So I highly recommend that when you read the licensing resolutions, that you pay close attention to the language, because that is what's going to be recommended from the community board. And if you have any objections, any issues with any particular resolutions, please feel free and bring it to my attention. Something that I also want to bring up is that we have a new vice chair. We have Simari Hernandez as the vice chair for the license committee. So welcome on board once again, Simari. Really grateful to have you there. Shout out to Anthony Viola for writing up the minutes. He had the minutes ready like in a matter of minutes. So thank you so much, Anthony, for stepping up. Really grateful for your work. Something that I would like to also highlight is that we have 40 licenses, as you can see the agenda. 13 of them were withdrawn. I'm not going to highlight them because you see on the agenda, but there were 13 in total. And they were withdrawn either prior to the meeting or at the meeting because either they lacked documentations or there were issues that they were not ready to present to the license committee, and that's why they were withdrawn. In reference to those that we are requesting for you guys to object, is agenda item number 3, because there was no one there present and the application was incomplete. Agenda item number 8, there were some SLA fines, some health concern violations, and the owner was not there to answer the questions, even though the rep was there, but the rep didn't know why those fines were summoned. Also, agenda item number 13, there was a PD objection. You can see the minutes because there was some too many to highlight here. Also some resident oppositions. Number 19, you see in the minutes that there were some PD objections, and there were many residents that were in opposition to this approval. They were also selling alcohol out of class, which means that they had a restaurant wine license, but they were actually selling alcohol, hard alcohol. Besides that, we find that they were really dishonest on how they came about trying to say things that were not actually true. They were practically highlighting the sale of hard alcohol on the websites. And that's something that they don't have a license for. And they were selling alcohol. And again, they were just promoting this and should not be allowed. Lastly, the reason why we are objecting to this resolution is that, or to this applicant, is that they failed to post a public sign. It is a requirement of the community board to post a public sign. I passed by the venue and I noticed that the public sign that they had was old. I don't know why they do this because I know that the staff sent a very updated public notice, and the one that they have posted on the gate was completely out of date. Number 36 and 37, they were practically rejected because no one came to represent the applicants, and that's why we are rejecting them. I'm also reversing agenda item number 39 because they were supposed to bring a copy of a full purchase for a sound limiter to the community board. They did not do that. We had 3 other requests where they had to submit proof of purchase sound limiter, and those proofs were submitted to the community board. I'm going to open up the floor now for some questions. I do have some friendly amendments. I'm going to start with Liz, followed by Olsie, followed by Steve. Liz, you have the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry, hold on.
No, okay. So to your point that they were selling alcohol out of class and that they were advertising that they were selling alcohol, I would suggest that you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That you add a whereas 6, a whereas as a new 6th whereas that says something like, whereas the applicant is advertising on its website and in community flyers that are selling hard liquor out of class. Because that's not just that the community was complaining about that, that's that they were doing it. And that you as a committee know that you were doing it, and that way you don't have to, you can remove it from the complaint about that the community was making and just state that as a fact that it is. And I would encourage my colleagues to vote in support of that resolution that opposes the license. And I do just want to put in a good word for Uptown Garrison, which runs a really good business. I encourage you to vote in favor of them, although I will be not voting due to conflict because they're a donor to an organization that on whose board I sit. Good word for Cañave and Boca Chica, who just run really good restaurants. And best of luck to Tito and Araba, which are new restaurants that are going for licenses.
Thank you, Liz. Friendly amendment accepted. Now we'll see Olsie, followed by Steve, followed by David.
Finally, item 23. It looks like it's software change, its method of exchange and method of operation. There are there's a confusion between the title and the whereas, whereas. So the title for the software change and before is for method of operation. So we should make something in the whereas Also the dates. I'm assuming the meeting happened on September 13 and not April 11, so that's that. Same thing, the date on resolution number 25. It should be, we should change it from June 4th to September 13. Okay, and my last question is in regards to the stipulation that we put for item number 27, the compliance stipulation, and also item number you mentioned 49 that did not comply, is that correct? 39. Okay.
So 39 is an objection.
So
And the rest, they did comply with all the steps.
27 did?
Yes, they did.
Thank you. 23 is a separate change or change in that?
Yeah, you gotta put it.
Item number 23.
23 is the corporate change.
Thank you.
Steve, followed by David. And then November.
I have two points. In resolution 19, what is now the state whereas some language is missing. It says the applicant failed to submit a complete application as required on CB12, missing the post the public notice. So you just need to insert some more words. I'm not sure what they should be. You must know what they should be.
I'll check on the language and I'll rectify it.
My second question, I think, is a little more serious. In the very first item, I'm concerned about a comment in the minutes that the board hosted a holiday party at this particular establishment. Marriage that we would allow. Actually, I don't remember the party. Maybe I was the party. I'm concerned by the conflicts behind the Can somebody speak to whether or not the board was giving any particular concessions by the owner, or did we pay for that party in full rate? Were we giving a discount? I mean, what's the story?
I might have Anthony to share some light into it, but I don't recall that we had that at the meeting, but Anthony, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Number one, there's a comment by Joel Brady where that this is a great restaurant and the board hosted its holiday party with recommendation.
No, he left.
Did he in fact have a party?
We did, that was 2022, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. It was at Casa Tuya, that's the one on Sherman with like the lights.
And, did the owner give us any particular?
To my knowledge, I don't recall, but across the board when we have, yeah, Ebenezer. Okay, so Ebenezer, just for Zoom for everybody's clarity, we paid for it and paid for it in full as we already do.
Very good. Yeah, we can go on to the clear copies. Thanks.
Debbie, follow up on you.
Sorry. My mic. Michelle getting her steps. Practice of its yeah, you're on.
I just got it.
It's done. It died. All right, let me get better. Come to the podium.
It's such a minor question. So I have received a few questions from people that live close by to the old Pandering Pig. What is Tinto? The new restaurant going in where Pandering Pig is, as the people.
This agenda item, which one?
Is 35, maybe? sneakers? Like, were they nice? What kind of food? Everybody's asking.
Guys, again, apologies, we only have 40 resolutions, and for me to remember like every single detail is specifically difficult.
Always do.
The reason why this is not a really critical agenda for rejection is that the closing hours are really decent. They're going to close at 12 a.m. every day, and they will not have any DJs based on what I see on the.
But what kind of restaurants? I was just curious.
It's a Dominican restaurant. It's a Dominican restaurant.
My question. My question's around number 21. It's more about curiosity. I've never seen an actual like. I always see the tenants applying for liquor licenses. This is the first time I see an actual like renter. You know what I'm saying? Like it says like that Radio Hotel is getting the license.
So this is actually
it's inside the hotel, but
it's
Halal
inside.
rents that space.
Yeah,
so
it's actually halal, and what they are requesting is to have like a bar on the patio instead of table they have there. So they want to extend a bar on the backyard, on the patio. They're not going to increase the number of tables and or chairs, but it will be at the patio. The backyard.
So Halal's doing that?
Halal is doing that.
The radio hotels are
Well, Radio Hotel is the one operating
the license, yes.
So if Halal is removed, then who becomes Radio Hotel is always going to maintain a license?
They have 3 licenses.
Okay.
Yeah. Seeing none, again, thanks to Ebenezer and his staff, Janelle, for producing all these documents. Really grateful, guys. So thank you so much.
All right, let me just check on my Zoom folks. Hope my Zoom folks are good. All right, I know that somebody's been on it. Jumi, is roll call good? Are we up to date on attendance? Okay. All right, so let's think about the easiest way to do this. Is perhaps doing it by do we want to go by alphabetical order or just by order of person? What's easier for you? Instead of alphabetical order, just by going by the person?
Said I don't know everybody's name.
But Michelle can name it.
Okay.
All right, let's try it that way. Wherever Michelle wants to start, say your name, we'll record your votes. We're gonna start in person, and then Tanisha, we got you last. Yeah, we got that ones.
Yeah, please say your first and last name before voting. Thank you.
This is Jacob Evans, voting against all.
Jacob, you want to use it?
Wayne Benjamin, yes to all.
Policy commoners. No to number 21. No.
Oh, there we go.
27. Yes to the rest.
127 and then this. This is one.
Is this okay?
Hold on. Can you give me a second, Michelle? Hold on. No, which one did you mean? This one. Oh, brand new. Oh, I shared you the updated one. All right, we'll go in person. So we'll see who's 21, 27. No, you're good. It was 21 and 27. All right. Okay.
Yeah, go on. Luana Ferreira, yes to all.
Liz Ritter, I'm voting no on 27. I'm not voting on 10 due to conflict. Yes to the rest.
Hi, this is Miguel Medina, voting yes, except on agenda item number 21. And agenda item number 31, sorry. So agenda item number 21 and agenda item number 31, I am not voting because of the conflict. They are part of my bid and as such, I can vote.
Yes, well.
Rosie Barnes, yes, all. Mrs. Marnell, yes, all.
Darryl Cochran staying on 7, yes, to the left.
James Bosley, no 12, and I vote on number 10 to be conflict.
You have to.
They support organizations which are all.
I haven't taken it.
Yeah.
Brian Palomino, yes to all.
Luis Cruz, yes, all.
Chris McNeil, yes to all.
Anthony Viola, no to 7, 27, yes to the rest.
Danny Willia, yes.
Nicholas, yes, vote.
Let's see the DOR, yes to all.
So.
He said yes to.
Yeah. Emily Martin, yes to all. Let's see you.
Yes, more. Bruce Robertson, yes, to all. Leo Jimenez.
I'm not voting on D, that was my position in the New York City Police Department. Abstaining on 7. Voting against on all of them. Richard Allen, yes, to all.
Mary Anderson, yes to all. Ready person, yes to all. Deputy Guardian, yes to all.
Jerry Mason, yes, to all.
Owen Adams, yes, to all.
Eddie Guzman, yes to all.
Dave Byers, yes, to all.
Maria Hernandez, yes to all.
Jim Berlin, no to number 5, number 7, number 8, number 9, and 31, yes, to the right.
Oh, okay.
Michelle, yes to all.
Michelle. And then Catherine Diaz, yes to all. And then Jumi, and then Zoom. And then we have one vote change, which is the CB.
Yeah, you already yes to all.
Jumirna Colbert Ramirez, abstain on 19, yes to the rest.
And then Isidro has a vote change, and then I'll turn to Marielle and Tanisha.
I just want to add that I cannot vote on agenda item number 39, so I cannot vote on 39 as found. And that is the first item.
39.
Anybody who didn't vote?
Who missed? Yeah, I voted. All right, then we're gonna go to Tanisha and Marielle for your votes.
Thanks, Catherine. Yes to all.
Tanisha Grant, yes to all.
Thank you. All right. Got licensing done. All right, great. So we're gonna transition now to our committee task force reports. Business, Joel had to depart, but he said to refer to the minutes. Public safety, Elisa is not present, please refer to the minutes. We're gonna go to, actually, I'm gonna have Emily come up for Housing and Human Services. And then we'll get the mic up to Mary Anderson for aging. And since we still have folks of the public, if you're curious about our committee work, anything is interesting, hello, Maria Luna. Feel free to go onto our website and you will find the calendar for October and our meeting dates and Zoom links and locations if you'd like to join in person. So 3 minutes for you.
Okay. I can't count, but good, just let me know. Hi, everyone. So co-chair of housing, as I mentioned before, Housing and Human Services. Please refer to the minutes. They're very short this month. But we basically went over, we discussed budget priorities. And sure, y'all can hear me? Okay. So we discussed budget priorities and basically reviewed the process of how it is for the newer members. Monthly updates from electeds, we didn't have any, but we did have some feedback from some of our members. And we also discussed again committee goals. And some of the committee goals we may think about, like, for example, addressing landlord issues, things from the past, like the public forum for Fort Washington, having a resource directory that's more like digitally friendly, and maintaining partnerships and having more human services show up at our meetings. So we're going to be calling or having organizations come over that do provide human services for the community, because there's so many out there. And we'll be having them at our meetings, and we'll get to see you all there. And let's see over here. We spoke about the migrant crisis. It was basically a topic that we didn't know too much about, like what to add to it. So if anyone does have any input, I know that Marielle, she's visiting the border and she'll come back with more information on that. But there was more questions than anything during that conversation. And during new business, there was a request to have affordable housing communications or announcements be more clear, like spreading the word within the community, having more outreach, accessibility of community board listserv, to have more share information with organizations and disseminate information better. Airbnb crackdown, especially for all the vacant units in the city, and the landlord issue. And in old business, what came up was the site visit for BRC single men's shelter with Muzzy. So Michelle Lee, she's going to be, please contact her if you would like to also be part of the site visit. I think it's going to be October 9th. I'm not sure if that's, so October 9th. And that's Columbus Day again, or Monday. So if you would also like to see this site visit or attend with Michelle Lee so that you could see something similar to the one that's being built here in Inwood, please contact her, contact me, and I'll refer you to her so that you could see the shelter and see more or less what it could be like. And I think that's it. I don't know if oh, awesome.
We got one hand from Liz.
Yes, Liz.
Just repeat her question.
Hold on.
Yeah. You gotta wait for the mic.
Oh, she's coming from the back.
So on Thursday, October 5th, the Cabrini Shrine is having a talk for the general public called Asylum 101. They're pairing up with Cabrini and Services Division House up there at the shrine. So they've got an attorney, a social worker, and a community worker, but it seems like a good event if folks on your committee are looking to kind of learn more about that.
Yes, definitely. I'll be reaching out about that as well. Thank you. And also I'll be reaching out to Wayne about the Housing Manhattan Nights with Marielle. Any questions? I'm not sure if Marielle wanted to add anything.
I think we're out.
We're out of time.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Well, we know how to reach you. All right, so next up is Mary. We're getting the mic up to her.
Hi, everybody. It's Mary, I'm the chair of the committee. Want to welcome all the new members to the board. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll come to this committee at some point. What's going on? We meet at 10:30 in the morning, so anyway, please read the minutes from our last meeting. I do want to emphasize that our next meeting will be on Thursday, October 5th, 10:30 in the morning. And we're going to have a presentation on COVID updates by Stephen Chang, the Director of Quality and Patient Safety at New York Presbyterian. He's a continuing issue with COVID, and we want to hear what's going on and what the updates are as far as vaccines go and where we got them and good stuff. So please join us if you come. It will be a hybrid meeting. Thank you.
Questions? Any questions from there?
Seeing them. All right, next up, we have Health and Environment, Steve Simon. I guess the Maddie's right there, so maybe Steve, if you want to stand up. And just put the mic closer, Zoom's having a hard time.
All right, thank you. First of all, Mary, I hope we didn't repeat your answer to the document from the Presbyterian. What the hospital is doing to make sure that people in our community get vaccinated, and asking them to do more outreach and in order to make sure that we have sufficient vaccination rates in this community, and where our vaccination rates are lower than the rest of the city as a whole. And unfortunately, the hospital chose not to offer vaccination. Children's hospital, which since the last time we had 3 months ago, in 1,004 zip codes, 1,591 people have 6 more people died. So the identity is still about mission rate in the past 7 days in our community has been 8 times higher than it was at the end of June. Our hospitalization rates in 3 of our zip codes are the top third of all of the zip codes in the state. And our vaccination rates, as I mentioned, remain steady as they were 3 months ago. So the new vaccine is now available. It's not. It is available in the chain drugstores at Rite Aid, over here on 171st and Broadway, at the Orion Health Center at Wadsworth and 181st, at CVS, also on 181st, at the CS Pharmacy on Dyken Street and at the Walgreens Lane, also on Dyken Street. Presbyterian is going to be holding a vaccine event at the Hebrew Tabernacle on October 10th, where people who sign up can get both the flu shot and the COVID vaccine. The federal government is once again offering 4 free and home COVID-19 tests to people who will contact the website at covidtest.gov. That's available to anyone who will request them. The is again that you folks discussing in your Presbyterian. There is unfortunately still no news on when the third site beds will close at the Allen Hospital. When they will be reinstated. We're being told that they are still engaged in a dialogue with the state office of mental health. We don't have any details about this dialogue is about. And really, this thing about saying that I'm very happy with our Catherine, with us bringing the committee members, and I in common. I have nothing against the old committee members; they're great too. But the new ones are a great addition to our committee. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions for Steve?
Don't know. All right, so seeing no questions, we got just 3 more committee reports, results, and we'll start wrapping up. So next up we have Debbie with traffic. If you want to come up to the podium, Mike, actually, we're starting to have some issues with the wireless.
I will refer people to the minutes, and I just want to say that because it was a late edition and I'm not sure the committee members know, at the October meeting, which for us will be a week from yesterday, DOT will be there to present the results of some longstanding work at 165th and Riverside. I'm looking at you, Jody Wilson, and also explain what they're going to be implementing on Margaret Corbin Circle to try to make it safer, because it is a most delicious place to do donuts at speed because it's such a big circle. So they'll probably provide an update on that and hopefully just get some updates on anything else that we have outstanding in CB12, because this will be their first meeting of this year's cycle with us. Okay.
Yeah. All right, the folks are gonna have to come to the mic. So Domingo, Daryl, then you guys are next.
Domingo Estevez, Youth and Education. So there was a change from Youth and Education. Historically, there was a chair similar to what we heard earlier that was there for a while. And there's the person transitioned, right? They're not on the board anymore. So we switched up a lot of the processes within the committee. Encouraging leadership within the membership of the board is extremely important to me. So a lot of the committee's new task will be each individual member chairing a meeting each month to try to get folks acquainted with what it takes to run a meeting. One of the initiatives that I'm personally bringing into the committee to support the leadership and the growth of individuals within that particular committee. And besides that, it was a great conversation. We're looking to figure out ways of not how we avoid being so reactionary to things that are constantly happening around us. So one of those initiatives that we're also implementing is to not only receive updates, but to receive updates from particular committees within the city and the state. that are impacting some of the people that we're meant to advocate for and support. So for instance, I think it's really important to start engaging the community and expand the community and expand our outreach methods. So one of the items that we'll be introducing to the agenda is a standing item that requires us to have like a rotating monthly event. You know what I'm saying? Where we encourage not only to dialogue about what's happening internally and in the city and the state, but also engage the community to make the connection. For the rest, I'll refer to the minutes. Hope next month folks can come. I believe our meeting is October 2nd. We'll be having a meeting with our councilwoman in regards to providing updates from the educational committee within city council and also youth initiatives. So look forward to seeing folks there and have a good rest of your night.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update from the bylaws task force. A few things moving forward. There are, as you know, there are several articles in the bylaws, but we've taken a couple out specifically related to board roles and the election process. So that can be voted on before the next elections take place. And according to our current bylaws, that then goes to the executive committee, which it was presented to them at the last meeting. They will make comments, recommendations of their own. And then when Catherine sets the agenda, it'll be come to the full board soon. For our next meeting on Wednesday, October 18th, we'll be talking mainly about Article 10, which relates to meetings and the process of meetings and how those should be run. So feel free to come by. And I just want to also shout out to our newest member, Tracy, who came by. Thank you. Without mini-me, unfortunately, maybe next time. And thank you to existing committee members as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Daryl. All right, so that concludes the committee reports. All right, we're gonna go into our special election. Not bad, 5 minutes left on the clock with a special election that we weren't sure was gonna happen. I just want to thank both Daryl and Robin for stepping up because I know it's tough, especially we all have very busy lives, and so being able to dedicate a little bit extra more time to the board and assuming leadership is courageous and encouraged. So thank you both. In terms of tonight's results from our 3 volunteers, Daryl will be our next second vice chair with 24 votes, and Robin was with 13 and 1 abstention to cover. No, 1 non-vote. No, because of Zoom votes. So 2, 13. All right. So welcome, Daryl, to the elected team. I will be in your inbox tomorrow. With that said, and I actually failed to share this in the chair report, a lot going on. So in October, we formalize our nominating committee, right? So CB12 currently has annual elections every December. So in October, we formalize it. So if anyone is interested in serving in the nominating committee, obviously it needs to be odd, so ideally 5 members. Please email me at the next board member newsletter. We're going to have a lot of asks in terms of volunteers and opportunities for folks. Even if it's not elected office of second vice chair, secretary, or anything, there's so much work to be done, and there's a lot of ways to support the ongoing work of the board. So you're going to see some of those calls in the next edition. But if you do want to serve on the nominating committee, please shoot an email. I have to formalize that by the 2nd week of October. So with that said, is there any old business? I heard that there was an emotion to adjourn. Is there a second? I hear many seconds. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good evening. Thanks for folks on Zoom. Join us next time.